Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Sports Week here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme: Stefan Johansson is all set to leave Celtic for a move to Fulham. We will look at the Champions League dates for Celtic, and of course the Champions League itself gets a revamp in season 2018-2019. It looks as if it's going to favour the big clubs. We'll discuss that, as well as Kilmarnock against Rangers and all the weekend football across all four divisions in Scotland. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin, and I'm delighted to say our bootroom guest is Queen's Park manager Gus MacPherson, and it's going to be an interesting chat with you because the Queen's Park boys are celebrating something which will become all too apparent to us very shortly. So, as well as that £30 million boost, Ruffy, suddenly Celtic are starting to offload players as well. Stefan Johansson, his career looks as if it's ending. He's going to Fulham.
Yeah, on the financial side, everything looks great. You know, money coming in from all sides, and but I'm sure the Celtic supporters will want to see it well spent. I've already been told that there is one player coming in. I'm sure the Celtic supporters would probably want two or three, but it remains to be seen what happens, because they've got some fantastic games coming up.
Yep, and of course, any great surprise that the chief executive has said that Brendan Rodgers will get a fair bit of the kitty possibly for next season, but they're looking to bring in at least one new player before the window closes.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a marquee signing, as we call it. I'm sure that will excite the supporters. It remains to be seen who that is. But in looking at the Champions League group, I personally think they'll need more than one, to make a go of it. Brendan Rodgers has already said he doesn't want to be making up the numbers, so I think he'll be pushing for maybe more than one player to make a good shift of it.
Yeah, although the benefit is to Celtic for being in the Champions League, Gus, it does give everyone a huge lift when you know that you're part of that community, because Scottish clubs over the last couple of years have suffered greatly in Europe.
I think we look at the standard of our game at the moment when we're trying to gauge it against some of the other European clubs. But just this week we can see that Ajax didn't qualify, and that's the second year in a row that they've not qualified. So it's not easy. I think you've touched on it earlier in terms of the financial situation, that is going to get even harder and geared towards the rich clubs. I just think it's ridiculous that you're champions of our country, of our league, having to go in through the qualifying stages and then go into pot four, and it becomes ever greater, to qualify and going in against the big boys who we really struggle financially against.
Yeah, it's a good point you make, because the revamp is coming, because there was a lot of scaremongering going on that some of the smaller clubs wouldn't get in, that would be invitation only. I always think that's a smokescreen, Gus, for the big clubs to really try and engineer more out of UEFA. There was talks of a breakaway. In the end, what we have is a situation where the big four countries get four teams automatically qualified from season 2018 onwards. For me personally, I'm like you. I think it's a disgrace.
No, it's like negotiating when you get into the boardroom, that they've came with something. There's a threat being put there. As I said, there's the worst case scenario, but here's what we really want. And they've got what they want. I think they've got as many as the big countries, with the financial clout behind them, to get more of their teams there. Whereas the smaller countries, who are struggling as it is financially to compete with these countries, are left just to pick up the scraps that are going about.
Yeah, it is a class system that's operating in the Champions League. If you're part of one of the rich countries, Ruffy, you're probably just looking at the moment saying, why don't you just shut up and stuff it and take it? That's exactly their attitude.
Yeah, it is, but we all want to be in Champions League nights. We want our teams to be a team as it is just now in the Champions League. You want them, for the neutral point of view, to see these games. That's why we really need to fight our corner. But you're right in everything you're saying. The bigger countries are now beginning to dominate. I think if you look at the Champions League just now, you can see why they want four other teams in, because they're not getting in at this specific time. There's only one or two from each of these countries in this year.
Yep. Over and above that, though, there's always a way to get around it and sweeten everybody to the changes. And of course, there's going to be more money handed down in the group stages. And if you get knocked out before you get to the group stages as well, there's going to be more money in the Europa League. So you've got basically the top 4 countries getting 4 teams in automatically. Gus, you're getting the Europa League winners in there, and then everybody else will have to battle for it. If there is a crumb of comfort for any Scottish team involved in the Champions League qualification, is the fact that your coefficient is based solely on what you've achieved. You know, if you're a previous winner, or indeed if you've had really good results over a period of 10, 15 years, I'm not sure yet.
It comes down to the finance again. It's the business model that they try to change and think that, you know, spreading the cash about, you know, will sweeten everybody and trying to get them to their way of thinking. But it's all geared, you know, to the bigger clubs and the bigger countries, you know, with the televised revenue that can come from those countries. It still doesn't make it a fair playing field. And I think, you know, Celtic have seen that in recent years when they've entered the Champions League. They've given good account of themselves, but it just becomes so difficult even to recruit, you know, players of the quality to compete at that level, to try and be expected to compete against even some of the Russian clubs, you know, the money that swirls about in their leagues and, you know, in their level of football. It's very, very difficult, and that's the whole packages that come round, you know, trying to convince these players to come in. Obviously reduced packages, but it's so difficult, you know, and these countries can throw whatever kind of volumes of money they want to do at the top level players. Yeah,
I'm going to get your thoughts on it in a minute, Ruffy, but I'll get Gus's on this point. You're well aware that I'm not a fan of the Europa League. I just think, I don't know, Gus, apart from the fact it does need more of a cash incentive, I don't see what the incentive is for any English club to want to take part in it, you know, because of the desire to stay in the huge cash cow that is the Barclays Premier League. The Europa League needs more money in it. It needs something to make it appealing to everybody. I just don't get excited until potentially the semi-finals.
It's really semi-finals, latter stages, semi-finals, quarter-finals.
Are you the same?
Yes, but I think you can only see the way that our near neighbours, the English, is what we'll look at it and how they treat it. You know, with some of the clubs, you know, they're putting out shadow teams, maybe making 6-7 changes to their squads to come around for the Saturday game or the Sunday games when they get moved. That is the be-all and end-all for some of these clubs, to make sure that their status remains in the Barclays Premier League. And it's an annoyance for some of the managers. The directors or the board of directors will not say that, but it is a nuisance for them when it comes round to their squad. And I think even some of the travelling that's involved in it, you know, it just becomes a hindrance for them.
Yeah, and over and above that, Ruffy, Manchester United must look at it and think that it's beneath them.
Yeah, at this moment in stage, probably they will be, but as we all agree, once they get to the quarter-final, you know, it'll be a full house. I would like to think that they would have the ambition to win it, and that's what it'll be for them at the end of the day. You know, I think Gus is perfectly correct with the English clubs, but as far as the Scottish clubs, Aberdeen would love to have been in it. Aberdeen would love to have that 5 or 4 games in the group stage, you know, and the supporters would have got right behind it. But that's all about objectives and what's at the end of the day.
Yeah, wouldn't have loved it, Ruffy, if it cost them money, which was the accusation that was labelled at a number of the early rounds last year. If you were in it, it cost you money to get there, cost you money actually to play in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Obviously, you've got to balance. But I think in the light of day, as far as your supporters are concerned, they would hope that the club would be able to do that. They just want to enjoy being away wherever they're going to.
Listen, we didn't get a chance to show you last night the dates that were about to be revealed from the draw in the Champions League. And for anyone looking at a possible trip to Barcelona, I think Celtic fans are well aware of it. Here are the matches for Celtic. Barcelona against Celtic on September 13th. I did actually read one little joke on social media where one guy walks into a pub in La Ramblas wearing a Celtic strip, and the barman says the usual, which sums up how many times they've played Barcelona. Celtic against Manchester City, September 28th, Borussia Mönchengladbach, October 19th, and then of course the return legs away in Germany at home to Barcelona, and Man City Celtic. You're nodding your head like the insurance dog. Clearly you feel as if there's some kind of chink of hope somewhere.
No, at least if they do pick up points, they've got 2 easy games to finish with, to try and pick up something. You always look at what you need at the end, and certainly Barcelona and Man City will. I think the Celtic supporters will just go out and enjoy every minute of it, home and away. I think that's what that group is all about now.
I'm just delighted that those glamour away fixtures are on the Tuesday evening. It saved me a fortune, because I said to my youngest son Ewan that if they were on the Wednesday and it suited our fixtures, that I would take him over to those games. But I was delighted that they're on the Tuesday, which are our training nights at Queen's Park. So it saved me a right few bob.
There is a young boy walking about Hampden with a big board saying change the training outside.
I think there's more than a few. I think there's quite a few.
Absolutely. There you are. We'll discuss how tight Gus MacPherson really is when it comes to a weekend away, or maybe even a midweek trip in the Champions League. More on Queen's Park, and we'll talk Killie Rangers next. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Sports Week. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. We're going to look ahead to the weekend's football in Scotland across all 4 divisions, and of course I'm delighted that our bootroom guest is Queen's Park manager Gus MacPherson, and it's a special time for Queen's Park, 150 years. Before I get your thoughts on it, I mean, we've got to show this celebration video which has been released by the club to commemorate a superb and long and distinguished history.
In 1867, Queen's Park gave birth to Scottish football. We made the game beautiful and took it to the nation and beyond. We were missionaries, pioneers, visionaries, the architects of the passing game, of the international game, of Hampden Park, then the largest theatre in the world and the stage on which we still play. The game has changed, but our tradition has remained for 150 years. To play for the sake of playing.
What about that, Ruffy? Spine tingling, wasn't it? Just
Yeah.
made you want to go and support Queen's Park.
Yeah, I think the memories for the people of my age was the stadium as it was. It was a fantastic arena to play in, jam-packed, particularly playing with Scotland. It just did, as you said, made the hairs on your neck stand up. It was a tremendous stadium, and as it is now. And I mean, it takes a little wee bit of stick now and again, but I think it's your national stadium. You should get right behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, hey, 150 years doesn't get any better than this, Gus. There's a tough question. Are we losing the hoops, or is this just to commemorate the whole season?
This is just the commemorative top, and the hoops will now become our second strip,
Right.
For this period of time. It's the original colours of playing kit that Queen's Park played in, all those years ago.
Yeah.
So they've went back to the original design, and I think from that clip there, I think we've got to be thankful to Paul Woods, one of our players who sat through about 2.5 hours of footage there, and he gets his 1 minute of fame and glory, no, it's typical of the club, the players, as it says in the clip there, play the game for the game's sake, and they sacrifice so much, to just to play, and that's one of the selling points that we've got, that we can play at the National Stadium with the facilities that we've got, and very, very appreciative of the players.
Yeah, it's such a unique situation. At times, we have people who chip away at the tradition of Queen's Park and whether they should be playing at the National Stadium, roughly maybe going to lesser Hampden. But it is a unique situation. It's something that the Queen's Park board dig their heels in on. It's a unique arrangement between themselves and Hampden Park as well. And when you look back at the history, this is a club that actually played in the FA Cup final twice.
Yeah, I mean, the history's there for everybody to see. I mean, if you look at the clips of years gone by, you look at the old clips again, of the caps going up in the air and everything, you're talking about 130, 120,000 people in that stadium. The history's there for everybody to see. I personally don't think that Queen's Park should move. I think it should be structured round when a game's coming up. I mean, a fixture, maybe somebody looking at the fixture, so they have every right to play there. And as Gus said, it's the attraction for the players that he's bringing. To walk onto that park is a chance in a lifetime.
Yeah, it must fill you with pride though, Gus, because, you know, for so many years, the way the whole league was structured, Queen's Park was not a team that you would associate, you know, in the last, 20, 30 years of actually in the battle for promotion, possibly winning a division. So it must fill you with pride of what you've achieved last season, especially.
It was a fantastic achievement. I think they've came so close. I think they'd been to the playoffs 4 out of the previous 5 before I arrived at the club, and then they had a bad season because they lost so many of the players.
Yeah.
That's the difficulty with Queen's Park, you know, throughout the years, that you assemble a good team and then they're just cherry-picked from elsewhere because of the circumstances. But that's the challenge. Again, we've been able to, you know, keep the majority of our squad from last year. We've lost, I think, 2 or 3, but it gives us a realistic chance to compete at this next level in League One. But for them actually to achieve promotion, you know, albeit through the playoffs, but to run East Fife so close, you know, who eventually won the league, you know, it's testament to the players and how good they were and how physically prepared they were as well, you know, and organised, and just went and did their jobs and enjoyed it. That's the most important thing. They enjoy, you know, playing for Queen's Park.
Yeah, I think as a manager you probably undersell you know, your own contribution to it, because the one thing that we automatically associate with you, especially what you achieved at St Mirren, you know, as a player, the clubs you played with, is that organisational quality. Is your biggest job though trying to instil that air of professionalism on a full-time basis with really part-time players?
Well, it is part-time. We train 2 nights a week. You know, during the pre-season we were 3 nights, but, you know, we're always respectful, you know, to the players, what they give up, time, effort. I would suggest that the majority, if not all of them, could play and receive remuneration of a higher level, you know, because of, you know, the junior level of clubs. We recruit from that level. But it's giving them the opportunity, and this is where you touch on, and playing at the National Stadium. Some of these guys who have dreamt of playing in that, and, you know, and playing midweek games, cup competitions under lights, being able to score. I think you can see from the clip earlier on a chap that just happens that he's left, Vinnie Berry, who scored a key goal for us in the latter stages of last season, and how it felt to him, you know, in his celebration. You know, it's great to see these players getting that opportunity, and you know, I'm delighted for every one of them.
Yeah, you must be the only manager though that looks up at the stand and thinks, "Oh no, not another scout."
That's what it's like. You know, you find out, you see the ticket requests that are coming in, and you go, "Oh, here it goes again." You know, just today, this morning, one of our young players, Liam Brown, has been drafted into the Scotland under-19 squad. He's only 17. I think he played with 12, 13 games last season in the promotion winning team. But that's what Queen's Park's all about, is giving these younger players the opportunity that they'll maybe get a little bit earlier, you know, than what they would at other clubs. But we've also got to be competitive. That's what I pride myself on all my career, is being competitive. The players understand that, they've got to earn the right, but they apply themselves every single training session.
And he's got a chance.
He's got a chance. There's been interest in him, you know, in recent weeks. He's chosen, in my opinion, quite rightly, to stay at Queen's Park. I now just received a phone call from Scott Gemmell this morning, you know, to say that they would like to draft him into the under-19 squad. They go to Greece. I think it's Wednesday next week, and we've got a couple of games over there. So it's another development stage for him. He's learning his trade, but it's again, where else, a better platform to play at the National Stadium and playing first-team football at 17.
And the boy's quite lucky he's getting Tuesday night off then.
He's getting Tuesday night off,
Absolutely. Which is great to be able to hang about with your son, since he's going nowhere these days either. Okay, let's talk about the football over the weekend as well. What are your ambitions, Livy, at home this weekend for you?
Well, that's as tough as it's going to get. I would suggest in League One they've had a fantastic start to the season. They're full time, they've got plenty of goals in their team. They've seen that with their recent score lines. It'll be a tough game, but we can go into it with confidence. We've had a decent start to the season. Got a good point away at Brecon, who'd also started the season well. So the players are in a confident mood. So hopefully, we can take something from the game.
Yeah, is it just preserve yourself in that league this season? Is that the immediate ambition?
I think if we were able to remain in League One, it would supersede the achievement of getting promotion. Yeah. And I think it's a real tough challenge for the players. But I know, and I can see it even from early forum, even if we take in the Betfred Cup, that they're up for that challenge.
Well, we wish you well for the rest of the season. More from Gus throughout the programme. Do stay with us. Killie against Rangers tonight. Ruffy, of course, Mark Warburton may unleash Joe Gardner into the mix in the striking place. That would be perfect timing with, of course, the derby coming up on the 10th.
Yeah, they want to go into that game on the back of a good win. Unfortunately, I think they're getting Kilmarnock at the right time. Looking at their defence last weekend, it was pretty poor, and if they were to not up their levels, I can see Rangers winning maybe 2 or 3-0. But I don't know about you, but every time I see a midweek game, I always see stupid results, crazy results, and Kilmarnock will be hoping that this is one of these occasions. And but I think they have to really up their game compared to what we saw this year.
Yeah, always difficult. Just briefly, Gus, turning around a side, 15 new players in.
Well, that's difficult in itself. I think I can remember, Sir Alex saying that he made a poor start to whatever year it was when he brought in 10 players. And he says you should be looking to bring no more than 5 or 6 players into your squad to try and have continuity within your squad. But that's not been the case at Kilmarnock, and that's going to take time. And results may be affected by that. You need time for players to settle in, especially with this recruitment drive when these players have so little experience. Yeah,
absolutely. And just in case you're wondering, Ruffy, something spooks him about teams playing midweek as if they can't play to their normal level. I'm going to ask him more about that. There's no logic, rhyme or reason to it, but I'll be back with more spooky stuff after the break. We're going to talk Premiership and all the other division matches over the weekend. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Sports Week. Join us if you can on Saturday afternoon, because we will bring you the best of the action across all 4 divisions in Scotland. Look at the Barclays Premier League as well. Murdo MacLeod, Gordon Smith and Ruffy will be with me from 2 o'clock. STV Glasgow, STV Edinburgh, as well as Kilmarnock Rangers tonight. Tomorrow, I think all eyes on Celtic against Aberdeen, because Aberdeen, Ruffy, reckon that they can go one better this season. I'm sure in the west of Scotland we cast doubt in that. If you live in Aberdeen where there's only one team, everybody's right behind you and phone-ins up there.
Yeah, I'm sure Derek will be using the 2/3 of the Aberdeen had last year and what they produced. He'll be telling them they were on Celtic's holding on to them for as long as possible. He'll be telling them, look, we beat them twice last year. He'll be telling them everything that's positive. And I think the only thing Aberdeen will be looking for is some kind of reaction after Celtic's midweek game to try and get something out of that. But for me, Aberdeen haven't kicked on to where they were last year. Maybe there's still something to come. We'll have to wait and see. So I would think Celtic might just sneak this one tomorrow.
Yeah, consistency always the key, Gus. We were always talking about how Aberdeen folded in the month of October when they had a real chance to go above Celtic, couldn't do it. And I don't see anything added, that looks as if it's a bit of steel to drag them. Somebody that's a leader that can say, come on, we need to either get that goal or get that win.
It's as if they're just waiting there for something or somebody just to kickstart it. And it might be at Parkhead. I think Celtic coming off the back of the trip to Israel, it'll be a tough one. But it's one of them. I think if you offer Derek a point now, he would take it and get back up the road. But it's still very, very early. I think you could still see both clubs adding to their squads come the end of the transfer window.
I don't know about you, Gus. I think sometimes, though, you look for game changers. Johnny Hayes is a game changer.
Yep.
And, I like McGinn now. McGinn's a good player. They've changed the way they play up front because they've obviously added Jayden Stockley to try and complement what Adam Rooney offers.
Yeah, they've got that physical presence there with Adam Rooney as well, but they're missing that. It's that little spark in the middle of the park, from middle to front, that can just maybe make something happen out of nothing. Pollock was one that that I thought might just have kicked on and been that type of player, playing behind, a single striker and making penetrating runs, but it's just not quite happened for him. It's just somebody, with that imagination, because they have a good base, good platform to go and build on, but it's just sitting there waiting to happen, and that might be the type of player that Derek wants to bring in.
Yeah, I mean, when you lose Jack, you lose Pollock, you lose Johnny Hayes, you're starting to think, when they lose key players like that, Aberdeen are, it's more painful for them than a Celtic who can maybe shore that up with a bigger squad.
Yeah, and another thing they've missed as well is experience. They had Robson in there for a wee while. I think you always need at least one old head in there because there are a lot of young boys. I think McGinn, we'll see much more of him this year. I think he faded a wee bit last year, but I think he'll score more goals. But I think the problem is they came into the crucial games and weren't able to turn them into wins. I think they went to Motherwell and lost 2 goals, and they lost a late goal in a midweek to Hamilton. That's the kind of games that kill them. I've no doubt they'll turn up tomorrow and give Celtic a game because they have got quality players.
I don't think too many people will argue that's game of the day. Here's a look at the other matches in the Premiership in Scotland, as well as Celtic against Aberdeen. It's Hamilton Ross County, Inverness Cally Thistle against St Johnstone, Motherwell Dundee and Partick Thistle against Hearts. Ross County signing Tim Chow from Wigan. So clearly Jim has to try and tinker with the side a little and try and put that superb season behind them and start to try and do it all again this season with Ross County.
It is just trying to kick on again and trying to maintain the standards that Jim and Billy have set since they've been up at Ross County. He's changing 1 or 2 things with personnel in the squad, trying to put maybe a different mark on it as well. But I think they got the result last week at home again, a bit slow in the early part of the games and in the Betfred Cup as well. The sectional bit they couldn't get through, but they're slowly, starting to put another couple of fresh faces into that squad and have the impact that they would hope. Again, a game like that tomorrow's one that they would be expecting to take points from.
Yep. Dan Seaborn, will he be a welcome addition in that lineup, Ruffy?
Yeah, I think obviously with the resources that Hamilton have got, that I don't think there'll be a lot of money involved just with the player. Yeah, I think they want to show that up at the back, but I think anybody that goes to Hamilton will know they're in a game. They fight for everything, particularly in midfield. They don't give you a lot of time on the ball, as they proved when they played Rangers. But it's the consistency for them, and even against Kilmarnock, I thought they should have won that game, but they just couldn't take their chances, and I think that's what they have to do, particularly at home. Anything that comes along, take it, and then try and get the 3 points.
Who's going to win it?
I'm going to go for a draw on that one.
Oh, a draw, Gus?
Ross County for me.
Ross County, there you are. Inverness Cally Thistle against St Johnstone. Ruffy, Richie Foran now slowly but surely starting to make inroads in the transfer market, trying to use what little money he has.
Yeah, but St Johnstone for me are the team that are playing particularly well just now. There's a lot of confidence up there. I think again, if Inverness don't go in front of that game, I think St Johnstone will grind out results, and I think they'll do that again at Inverness, and I think St Johnstone will just win by the odd goal.
Yeah, what was the best bit of advice when you were a young manager? Because Richie Foran has made that difficult jump, in the dressing room. Obviously 2 years of real injury worries that ruled him out of a number of games, Gus, but then all of a sudden you're the manager.
Well, he's a strong character, and that's first and foremost, you have to be that, when you step into the hot seat. But there's no education for it. It's you get put into that position, and it really becomes a sink or swim environment. You stand or fall by decisions that you make in terms of your team selection, how results go. But it's difficult. You've just really got to try and keep a calm head at key moments. It's been a frustrating start to the season for them. They're now at home again, and they've got to get a win on the board quickly, or that pressure just mounts.
Yep, and of course the addition of Lansana Doumbouya is clearly to try and get them goals in these games, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think last week, although the scoreline looked as if it was quite close, it wasn't really. I think they could get beaten heavily. They're sitting with no points whatsoever, and when you're down there with no points, the confidence is low. And it's up to the manager to lift the players and let them believe that there is a win in them, and I'm sure he'll be trying to do that tomorrow.
Motherwell against Dundee, this for me has got the makings of a cracker out for Park. Just basically because Motherwell played well against Rangers, were within seconds of getting a point. Mark McGee is hoping they can learn lessons from that and take it into this match.
Yeah, I thought they were unlucky as well with the game before that when they lost the late goal. The goalkeeper just mishandled a bit and they lost a goal late on. So no, I think Motherwell are just on the crest of getting a win. Certainly the confidence will be up, as you said, from last week. And I expect Motherwell to win that one tomorrow.
Yep, and of course I always like managers mentioning some of the players that should be in the under-21s, should be in the national squad. But I can understand where Mark's coming from with Chris Cadden.
Oh, he's been fantastic. He's actually somebody that we inquired about. I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks before he got his debut at Motherwell, and get told quite swiftly, no chance. But no, they've not got a big squad at Motherwell, but they've got a really good balance with experience in the youth there as well. And there's more. Motherwell won the Youth Cup last year, so there's more younger players, that can, when they're ready. And Mark's very, very good, at making that decision and when to give them the opportunity, to step in.
And of course, your old side, Partick Thistle, Ruffy, against Hearts.
Yes.
Why are you looking at Gus then?
Well,
now?
Gus has a wee bit of experience there as well, hasn't he?
I kept on getting beat.
I'm sure the Hearts support will come in numbers after that convincing win last week. There was a good atmosphere at the game. Partick Thistle really have to improve. I just saw clips of the Aberdeen game. Obviously, they lost a second goal, which was quite a bad one, but they came back and got a goal. But I think this will be a hard one for Partick Thistle tomorrow, and I think if they can get a draw out of it, it'll be a good result. No,
I'll tell you what's great about it, Ruffy. The Hearts fans, they've sold out their allocation. That's the great thing about other teams like Hearts, like Aberdeen, travelling support as well. It's not just about what Celtic and Rangers bring to some of the more provincial clubs. Hearts have got a fan base there that travels, away and fills that stadium at home.
Yeah, as we touched on it briefly, the football's not always the greatest, but it's entertaining. But the thing is, when you've got an atmosphere, it makes it better. And if Hearts are bringing a big number there, any stadium, with Hearts support in it, obviously the Partick Thistle boys will take the other stand. But I think it'll be great entertainment, great atmosphere, and let's hope it's a good game.
And just briefly, do you think Callum Patterson will be there when the window closes?
I think it all depends, Peter, on what the money is. Obviously we keep talking about a fee plus add-ons. I think if they come up with the hard cash, then fullbacks for me don't win you games. So. I know he scores goals. They cost you games, but I know he scores goals. But if you were to offer me £1 million for a fullback, I think I would take it.
Yep, absolutely. I can hear Andy Walker's words echoing in my head at the Player of the Year. You can't give it to a goalie or a fullback. We'll be back with a fullback and a goalie with more football chat. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Sports Week here. We'll be talking about US Open tennis, the final major of the year on the circuit, very shortly with Ruffy, but we're going to, we might even throw Gus into the mix as well. Gus MacPherson is our boot-room guest. Let's look at the fixtures in the Championship that we'll be keeping a close eye on tomorrow. Ayr United against St Mirren, Dundee United against Raith Rovers, Dunfermline Queen of the South, Falkirk Dumbarton, and Hibs against Morton. And Neil Lennon has issued a hands-off plea to any club out there who's thinking of maybe snatching a player right at the death. And of course, the ones under most pressure are John McKinn and Jason Cummings, Ruffy.
Yeah, and I think you better stay away from the telephone, because I think somebody will chance their arm. I think obviously we've saw an indication of clubs way down the English division with the money. He's certainly scoring goals, as he proved the other week there. But I would hope that the Hibs board have decided the money's not the object here. It's about getting back into the big division. 16,000 people at a home game, supporters, is fantastic. I just think that would just kill everything if they were to let them go. But as we know in the game, money talks a lot of the time, but let's hope they're strong in this one.
Yeah, I think it would be remiss of me not to ask you, Gus, if you have put in a call to take Jason Cummings or John McGinn to Queen's Park, since you've obviously chanced your arm with every other player.
No, we made a call to Hibs, but not either of those players. No, but they are talented players, and it's no surprise that there's interest in them. But I hope for Neil's sake, and the Hibs supporters, they stick to their guns and see what the big prize is all about, because Jason Cummings is key to that.
Yeah, I think, Roffy, this could be another year for the Hibs fans to savour off the back of the Scottish Cup win. Suddenly, if they can win that division, again, season tickets go through the roof. You look at the support that you mentioned that's going to the home games to see them win games as well. This could be another one of those chances to celebrate.
Yeah, and I don't think this will be a runaway league. I don't see it. I know you were saying last week they're a good result, but I think there's too many good sides in this year. I don't think there'll be a runaway team. I think it'll be quite tight all the way, even the top four. I couldn't exactly tell you who that's going to be. The Wraith Rovers have had a great start. Dundee beginning to get themselves going again. Falkirk, although they're not getting the results just now, I think they'll all be there. And you would think St Mirren would be capable of taking points off of most of these clubs that I've mentioned there. So I think it's going to be a really good year in the Championship.
Yeah, you can't pick the top four?
Yeah, you want me to pick the top four? I'm going to go Hibs, I'm going to go Dundee United, Wraith Rovers and Falkirk.
Yeah. You deviate from that, Gus?
I would replace Falkirk with St Mirren.
With St Mirren?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm impressed with the recruitment that Alec's been able to bring in. There's plenty of firepower. It's not been the start that they would have liked, but I still think they've got enough goals in that squad. Okay,
I would agree with you, Rafi. Maybe one potential one that could surprise us all, and they certainly have surprised at the start of the season, Queen of the South, might be in the mix as well. But I agree with you, the fourth. Let's look at the League One table and see what's on offer tomorrow in the League One. It's Albion Rovers against Alloa, East Fife Brecon, Queen's Park against Livingston, Stenhousemuir Airdrie and Stranraer against Peterhead. Well, Albion Rovers play some good football, Gus. You can tell Darren Young, uses the influence of Billy Stark in the background.
They did a fantastic, result last week at Peterhead, coming back from 2-0 down. Young Ross Stewart getting a couple of goals, but that will be a really tough game for them tomorrow against Alloa. Alloa have been the most impressive team in League One so far, and it's very early.
Have they surprised you?
No, not really.
No?
I'm impressed with the way Jack Ross has went about his business, the recruitment that he's brought in. There's a good balance there within his squad, between experience, and there's a couple of younger players that have maybe not worked out for them, at previous clubs, and have got something to prove. That's always a good balance to have, and they've got goals in their team with the lad Spence. Yeah,
not that I need to tell you, because it's something, I think, a quality that you have, but we had Graham Holmes, the midfielder, and he mentioned that the success is that Jack uses his own, it's his personality, it's attention to detail, it's communication on a one-to-one basis. There's not this... I'm not trying to suggest that all managers suffer from it, but the inability to make that jump from the dressing room to the manager, but still have a connection with the players.
He's had time, he's an intelligent guy. He's been assistant at Dumbarton for a few years, then went through to Hearts, coaching the younger players, and he's got this opportunity, and I think he'll make the most of it. I think it'll just be a matter of time, before there's other clubs looking, and there might already well be that because of the start that they've had to the season. We've got a glamour fixture coming up at Parkhead in the Betfred Cup as well, so there'll be more attention on Jack Ross and Alloa. But for me at the moment, that's as tough a game as it will get for anybody playing Alloa in League One.
Who's going to win that division?
I think it will be between Alloa and Livingston. I think Livingston will obviously get that slight advantage that they're full time. They have a good squad of players with experience as well, but that would be my two at the moment. Yep,
OK. Let's look at League Two then, and the fixtures on offer there are Arbroath against Stirling, Clyde Cowdenbeath, Edinburgh City against Berwick Rangers, Forfar Elgin City and Montrose against Annan Athletic. It's been quite difficult for me picking winners in the lower division. I've had a look at a couple of the clubs. I've picked Clyde. I don't know whether it's misplaced or how you see that division. Gus, you know the teams well.
Well, I said last season that whoever finishes above Clyde would win the league. I mean, they were my favourites as well, but East Fife put a terrific run together in the second half of the season, and then we were fortunate enough to win the playoff final against Clyde. But they would certainly be my favourites again this season. I think the problem you find with League Two, there's not big squads there. Inconsistency is a factor as well. If you lose even a couple of your key players, it can have an effect on your team's performance because you're not working with the biggest squads. Elgin, under Jim Weir have been fantastic. Narrowly missed out in the playoff, semi-final against Clyde, so they'll be thereabouts as well. But it's a real tough league this year. There's a lot of travelling involved in it as well, so it's consistency that is key in League Two.
Yep, okay. You can join us tomorrow on the programme from 2 o'clock. We'll keep you right up to date with all 4 divisions. Of course, we'll also keep you up to date with the Barclays Premier League as well. £1 billion, Ruffy. I mean, the money is earth-shattering. Can you imagine what sort of gear Gus would be wearing if he was a Premier League manager? It'd be unbelievable,
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I mean, I watched the Sports Scene the highlights of our games, and I watched all the games and the goals, and I mean, that was quite impressive. I really enjoyed that. And then I flicked over to Match of the Day and I saw the Arsenal, the 4-3 game. Yeah. It was just took my breath away. Yeah. Some of the play, it's just, you can see why all these stadiums are full with the quality of players they've got on show.
Yep. Not necessarily great games every week, Ruffy. I did watch Bournemouth last week and...
West Ham.
Yeah. Did you watch it, Gus? I mean, I watched it and then I thought to myself... I
watched part of it.
Yeah, because I actually went into the kitchen and thought, I'll start belting my teeth with a hammer. It would have been far more entertaining because it was dreadful.
No, it wasn't very good. But that's the Premiership for you.
Yeah.
You get these real high-profile games who sometimes cancel each other out and can be quite boring as well. Yeah. But then, lo and behold, one of these magical games like the Arsenal-Liverpool game there have turned out and they're so exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, just to finish, of course, we've got the... I was going to talk about golf because obviously you two are... I think the word is bandits when it comes to golf.
There's only one bandit there.
Yeah. Ruffy, have you ever played, Gus, at golf?
On a couple of occasions I've been at the same tournament, but I think I've got the trophies in the list.
And the money in the back pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, then we'll switch to tennis just so as not to prolong the pain for you. Andy Murray, it's the last major. It's it is a tournament where I gleefully stay up in the wee small hours of the morning.
Yeah, and quite rightly so. I think the only thing about the New York supporters, they are very noisy and they can spoil it sometimes, but Andy's on a run, to come away with the medal and get into that one. I think fitness-wise, of all the other players, I think he's maintained his level of fitness where the other ones are maybe making excuses now. So this is an ideal opportunity for him to win again. Yeah.
Is it something you watch because of the Scottish part of it and because of the fact that he's always there or thereabouts?
Yeah, he's a phenomenal athlete. I can remember when he was making his debut at early form at Wimbledon. He was just this scrawny, big teenager, and you think now what he's developed into. He's a role model for any of our athletes, whether that be football, rugby, whatever sport. He is a role model, and I think it's a credit to himself and how he's applied himself and the talent that he's got. And Ruffy's talking there about New York, the noisy crowds, the Olympics in Rio. It was ridiculous at some stages, but he got through that and was so impressive. He's just somebody you enjoy watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Briefly, Ruffy, is he going to win it?
Yes, I think he will.
Wow,
right
wow,
100%.
That's
He's a man. Get in there.
Way to go.
I couldn't. By the way, two characters.
Oh, and he's a cans with a straw now.
No, shush. I never thought you were going to finish the programme enthusiastically like that. You caught me on the hop. Thanks to Gus MacPherson. Good luck to Queen's Park in their 150th year. I hope it's a great year for them as well. Thanks for watching. Good night.